Good morning. My name is Chris Graham, and I am the worship associate today. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the North Hills. Whether you have been with this church a decade or more, or this is your first time visiting, we welcome you. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are and whomever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, whatever your journey has been, we welcome you. Newcomers and guests are always welcome to participate in any of our church activities. If you'd like more information about our church or Unitarian Universalism, please speak to our minister, Reverend Jane Thixton. You can find her contact information on our website. Be sure to join us for coffee hour following the service. The Zoom link will be posted in the YouTube chat at the end of the service. We will be breaking into small groups for better conversation. For anyone new who is interested, we are having a virtual Meet the Church session after today's service, where you can meet others and learn about Unitarian Universalism. The link will be in the chat section also. Again, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the North Hills. It is good to be together, even virtually. Our opening words today are from Elizabeth M. Strong. Today we celebrate a dream awakening. Today we worship with renewed hope in our hearts. Today we act on an audacity of hopes and dreams for the future. Today we begin the hard work for justice, equity, and compassion in all human relations. For today is a day like no other, and it is ours to shape with vision and action. Let us worship together and celebrate a dream awakening. Our chalice lighting was written by Steve Stock. We light this chalice to celebrate the inherent worth and dignity of every person, to reaffirm the historic pledge of liberal religion to seek that justice which transcends mere legality and moves toward the resolution of true equality, and to share that love which is ultimately beyond even our cherished reason, that love which unites us. Our opening hymn is This Old World. It's number 315 in the hymn book, and the words will be on the screen.
This old world is full of sorrow, full of sickness, weak and sore. If you love your neighbor truly, love will come to you the more. We're all children of one family, we're all brothers, sisters too. If you cherish one another, love and friendship come to you. This old world can be a garden full of fragrance, full of grace. If we love our neighbors truly, we must meet them face to face. It is said, now love thy neighbor, and we know well that is true. This the sum of human labor, true for me as well as you.
JABARI Jumps by Gaia Cornwall. Used with the generous permission of Candlewick Press. I'm jumping off the diving board today, JABARI told his dad. Really? Said his dad. The diving board was high and maybe a little scary, but JABARI had finished his swimming lessons and passed his swim test, and now he was ready to jump. I'm a great jumper, said JABARI, so I'm not scared at all. JABARI watched the other kids climb the long ladder. They walked all the way out to the end of the board, as big as tiny bugs. Then they stood on the edge. They spread their arms and bent their knees and sprang up, up, up. And then they dove down, down, down. Splash! Looks easy, JABARI said. But when his dad squeezed his hand, JABARI squeezed back. JABARI stood at the bottom of the ladder. He looked up. You can go before me if you want, he told the kid behind him. I need to think about what kind of special jump I'm going to do. JABARI thought and thought. JABARI started to climb, up and up. This ladder is very tall, he thought. Are you okay? Called his dad. I'm just a little tired, said JABARI. Maybe you should climb down and take a tiny rest, said his dad. A tiny rest sounded like a good idea. When he got to the bottom, JABARI remembered something. I forgot to do my stretches, he told his dad. Stretching is very important, said his dad. I think tomorrow might be a better day for jumping, JABARI said. They looked up at the diving board together. It's okay to feel a little scared, said his dad. Sometimes, if I feel a little scared, I take a deep breath and tell myself I'm ready. And you know what? Sometimes it stops feeling scary and feels a little like a surprise. JABARI loved surprises. JABARI took a deep breath and felt it fill his body from the ends of his hair right down to the tips of his toes. JABARI looked up. He began to climb. Up and up and up and up until he got to the top. JABARI stood up straight. He walked all the way to the end of the board. His toes curled around the rough edge. Jabari looked out as far as he could see. He felt like he was ready. "I love surprises," he whispered. He took a deep breath and spread his arms and bent his knees. Then he sprang up off the board, flying. Jabari hit the water with a splash. Down, down, down he went. And then back up. Whoosh! "Jabari, you did it," said his dad. "I did it," said Jabari. "I'm a great jumper. And you know what?" "What?" said his dad. Surprise double backflip is next.
Hi, I'm Chris Hill with the Lay Pastoral Care Team. During our service, we create this sacred space for sharing within our community. It's a time to share significant life passages with the congregation so you can be held in loving care. I'll be reading the joys and sorrows this morning. We'll be placing a stone representing each joy or sorrow in the sand representing our congregation, supporting the sorrows and lifting up the joys. Marcia Albright says, "My joy is that I was able to get across the border into Germany to help my daughter with the birth of her second son. I'll also be caring for her almost 3-year-old son as the family adjusts to the new arrival." To Marcia, we say, "We share in your joy." From Tony Palermo, a joy. My usual science talks for Pittsburgh schools and libraries, Naturology with Tony, won't be happening this fall. So I've transferred over 10 hours of material to YouTube, complete with pictures, models, puppets, and a full-size T-Rex skull in the background. Also, my book about naturology entitled Everything's Fred, Science for Kids, is now available from Amazon. As soon as I figure out a way to do it, I'll be giving away copies for $10 donations to UUCNHers. For Tony, we say, "We share in your joy." From Tassie Beisers, a joy. My son Dan married Danny Costa in a beautiful outdoor ceremony Saturday, August 15th, near Worcester, Mass. There were 6 others in physical attendance, but people from all over were there via Zoom. Danny and his family are from Brazil, so the ceremony was in both English and Portuguese. Dana Lundquist and my heart sang. To Tassie and Dan and Danny, we say, "We share in your joy." We now place one more stone in the sand for all the joys and sorrows that exist in our hearts but remain unspoken today. We especially think of everyone suffering, directly or indirectly, from the COVID-19 pandemic. Please read with me the words appearing on the screen, understanding that here includes all those watching. Let us hold in our circle of caring each person here. Let us hold in our hearts those who are unable to be with us today. Let us hold in our memories those who have moved on. Let us find comfort in knowing that we are not alone.
I invite you now to join me in a spirit of prayer or meditation and listen to the words of Jan Tadeo. Don't just do something, stand there. Stand in the surf, or sit on a rock, or lay your body across the earthy loam and be quiet. Very quiet. Do you hear it? That still small voice, the echo of your soul, reverberating with the call to your own true self to emerge. Then the calm within becomes the calm without. The storm blows over, the sun recovers its position of strength, and that glorious symbol of hope and unity emerges across the sky. At the end of this rainbow, a treasure, the 3 things you must do. Go outside yourself and know the needs of the world. Go within and discover your life-given gifts. Then arch yourself like a rainbow bridge between the two and create a more beautiful world. Let us pause for a few moments in silent reflection. This morning we have two readings. The first is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Don't be too timid and squeamish about your actions. All life is an experiment. The more experiments you make, the better. The second is from Annie Dillard. If we listened to our intellect, we'd never have a love affair. We'd never have a friendship. We'd never go into business because we'd be too cynical. Well, that's nonsense. You've got to jump off cliffs all the time and build your wings on the way down.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Sheehan, and I'm a volunteer at the Olive Branch, which is a fair trade and mission gift shop. I want to tell you the story of the Olive Branch, and it's an old story, and then again, it's a new today story. The old story of the Olive Branch began in 1975, 45 years ago. It's a story of people of faith who believed in stepping out and taking risks to make a difference in the world and make a difference for others. And this is how it started. The person who was the mission chair at our church, Salem Church in Wexford, she originally came from Ohio, from Mennonite country, and she was visiting family in Ohio, and she happened to come across a gift shop there that sold items from around the world. And the purpose of the shop was to help people in poverty areas of the world. And it was called a fair trade gift shop, which she really wasn't familiar with what that meant at that time. But she was really inspired by what she saw and came back home here to Wexford and thought maybe there would be enough interest that we could do something like that here. And that would be really challenging for us and really mean a lot to people if we could do something like that here. So she talked up the idea among a few people and got people interested enough that they went to our church council and presented the idea there, hoping for some support. And as, church councils can be, they kind of said, oh, well, that's not a very smart idea. What makes you think that would ever work? But they persevered in presenting their case. And finally, the church council members relented and said, well, okay, give it a try. We don't think it's going to work anyway, but we believe in supporting new ideas. And so that basis, we're going to support it. And they offered a loan, not a grant, of $300 to get it started. So with $300, this group of people ordered items from fair trade vendors, and they found a little rental place where they could set up shop. The rent was $78 a month, and plus utilities. And even at that, wondered, gee, do you think that we can make a go of it? Will we sell anything, and will this be enough to pay for the rent? But they believed that this was something that they were called to do, and they believed in taking that risk to go forward and out of their faith of making a difference for others. So they came up with an idea for the name of the shop, and they settled on the Olive Branch, based on the story of Noah and the ark, and that when the dove came back from the flooded waters with an olive branch in its beak, they knew that there is now hope because there would be dry land. And so that would symbolize what this shop was about, as being a symbol of hope for people around the world. So that was their beginning, and they created a logo, which I'm show you. You can see the picture of this original logo with the olive branch and the dove in its beak. So they went ahead, got the shop opened, and made it through the first month, and had enough money to pay the rent for the second month, and this went on. And began to catch on. After about 2 years there, they decided this was not the best location to be. It was an old motel room on Perry Highway. And so they began looking for other places and moved to Cranberry for a while, and then eventually moved back into our church building. And for many years, the shop was located in the church building, in the basement of the church building, and was only really open at November and December and holiday time, and some other times for special sales. But they continued and felt like they were really making a difference and reaching out and educating people about third world countries. So people that were involved were passionate about it. So it went on and on year after year, and after 40 years of this, they held a celebration, a birth anniversary celebration for the 40 years, and then began asking the questions. Well, this has been 40 years, and a lot of us are getting gray hair, and can we continue doing this kind of thing? Maybe it's run its course. But yet, they didn't really want to give up right away. And at the same time, this was 5 years ago, our church was asking a lot of questions about our role in the community and seeing that church life has really changed and that people don't look at church the same as they did generations ago, where they just naturally moved to a community and looked for a church and joined and got involved. It's not that way anymore. It's different. It takes more reaching out and being involved with people. So conversations came around to thinking that, well, maybe there's a match here between what the Olive Branch does and our need in the church for reaching out into our community a lot more. But where does that lead us? Where would we go with that? We can't afford rental space in Wexford. We all know what shopping centers charge for rent. That would be impossible. And that would take away from the mission of what we're all about, to be paying a lot of rent. About this time, a young person in our church heard some of these conversations and said, I'm hearing a lot of passion in what you're talking about, and I don't think you want to give up. And on top of that, I know of a place where there's a storefront, a business strip that probably wouldn't be too expensive, and there's space available. Why don't you check it out? Well, okay, we'll look. So we went and looked, and people in the church went and looked and thought, I don't know, this just isn't very nice, and a lot of negative opinions about it. But those who really believed in this and had caught on to the concept of getting out in the community and where we could involve other people and really be a presence, just persevered and really believed that taking that risk, once again, after 40 years, we were looking at risk-taking and moving out there and using our faith to make a difference. So finally, the decision was made that go ahead, let's go for it. And our church council again reluctantly approved the move to do this, and thought, well, for one thing, there's a 3-year lease, and that's a problem. But maybe you can survive for 3 years, and then it'll all be over and done with. So here again, we began rethinking who we are and looked at our logo and actually redesigned our logo, tried to become a little more upscale and current for this was 2015 than it was back in 1975, and created a new logo and came up with words, a tagline to go under the logo that was you can see on the screen here, that was meaningful shopping, meaningful living. And what that said was that we were going to be more than just a place where you could come and shop, more than just a fair trade shop. We were going to be a place that would encourage meaningful living, where people could come, get involved, gather, improve their lives. Who knows what might develop all of this. So we had a new vision and developed a new mission statement for the new portions of what we were talking about now. And 2015, December of 2015, we opened this shop on Route 19 on Perry Highway, across from Dunkin' Donuts, if you know where that location is. It's not the easiest to find because it's down a little side street, but it is at least on Route 19, and that makes it easy to direct people there. So we had our grand opening, December 2015, and began to reach out and look for volunteers. And I can show you a picture looking through the window, the front window of the shop, that gives you a little bit of a sense of what the interior of the shop looked like and the items that were there. So there again, we're in this situation, wow, we have rent to pay and utilities to pay. Are we going to be able to survive this? And we had a 3-year lease to deal with. But the idea, as we began talking about it and telling people in other churches and around the community and inviting people in, people little by little began to come and check it out. And I think maybe they could catch the enthusiasm that we had for what we were doing, and kind of thought, I really enjoy being here, and just stopping in and talking with you people is really meaning a lot to me, and I'd like to get more involved here. And that's exactly what we wanted to have happen. That meant that here we were in this rental space with trying to have a fair trade shop, as well as a place where people could come and gather and do projects, do things that would be to help other people in other parts of the world or locally. And as people began coming in to volunteer, we began to realize very quickly that we were cramped for space. There was just no way that you could be in this little back room unpacking boxes of fair trade items to display. At the same time, other people were maybe gathering to do a project of making something, some mission-oriented project. We were just butting into each other. But what could we do about that? Well, we had this rent to pay here. And lo and behold, about the same time, the rental of the space right next to us became vacant. And we began looking at that. What do you think? What do you think? We can't do it. We can't do that. We can't add that to what we're doing already. But we could not let it go. We couldn't let it go. We just kept looking at it. And so we came to the point that we went back to the church council again and they, showed them, well, we've doing okay for the 2 years that we've been in existence, and we want to take a step forward. And I think too, with some people agreeing to back it up personally, and that made a difference. So here we got the approval and went ahead and took on this extra rental space and actually did the renovation ourselves, repainted it and fixed it up, and then we're ready to open this new space. So now we were not just the Olive Branch Fair Trade gift shop, we were the Olive Branch Fair Trade gift shop, but also the olive branch Missions and More, meaning that that was going to be an area where mission projects could take place, but a lot more. Maybe speakers, maybe community groups being able to use the space. That we didn't know exactly where that would go, but we wanted to leave the doors open for however we could interact with the community. So that was 3 years ago, and it has bloomed, that people coming in from the community and being involved. And you'll hear more about that in a couple of minutes. I think before I begin telling you about each of the pieces of the shop that are the way it is now, I want to tell you just maybe a little bit about fair trade, which have become much more well-known now. In 1975, it was kind of a new concept to a lot of people, and we really had to educate people then a lot about it. But now people were a little more familiar with it. Basically, just to make it short and sweet, the key thing to think about when you hear fair trade is people. People being the priority rather than profits. Often you will hear people throw out the term fair trade, but that's very different. That is more an emphasis on profit. Fair trade is about the people and making the lives of people enriched and more sustainable for their lives. So the qualities of items that are classified as fair trade is that they have been made by people who are fairly paid so that they can hopefully support their families, that the working conditions are fair and well, that the workers are well taken care of, and that environmentally, the environmental practices in producing the items are important and sustainable. Just to give you one quick example of a fair trade item, I'll show you this item. This is plastic, and you're probably familiar with this kind of plastic, Coke bottle. There are about 60 million of these types of bottles that are discarded every year. And for what use? Well, when it comes to fair trade, people are very creative, and they often can find ways to use items that are otherwise thrown away. So a women's group in South Africa takes bottles like this and actually crushes them and cuts them to form just the bottom portion of it so that it looks really like that. And then you'll see that they then are very creative and decorate, paint on them and make them very, very attractive. Then they cut in the top, and these pieces can be folded down to create a box like this, and they call them clickety-click boxes. And so you can use it as a gift box, and after it's a gift box, the box can be opened up, and you have what could be a flower vase, it could be a planter, it could be a pencil holder, you name it, all sorts of uses for it. So that's just one example of the kind of thing that fair trade items are, is something that started out as being very useless and made into something beautiful and that can earn a living for people. So, as I said, there's more to our mission than just the fair trade. There's also the pieces of people gathering together to do missions, to do things that better the lives of others. And at this point, I would like to introduce Vivian Sylvester, who can go on from there and tell you more.
Good morning. My name is Vivian Sylvester, and I'm a member of Salem Methodist Church, and I've been a volunteer at the Olive Branch for over 20 years. As Mary mentioned earlier, about 5 years ago, we took the leap and we took the Olive Branch and moved it into the community. And at that time, because I had been very active in mission and outreach at Salem Methodist, I was asked if I would become the mission coordinator at the Olive Branch. So while I still volunteer in the store, my main responsibility there is to come up with ideas for outreach ministry that we can share with the community and have a lot more people come in and volunteer and do good works for people around the world and actually also close to home. The founder of Methodism was a man named John Wesley, and he said a lot of very inspirational things. But one of the things that he said, and it's one of my favorite of his quotes, "Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, for all the people you can, as long as ever you can." And that's exactly what we do at the Olive Branch on the mission side, which, as Mary said, is called Missions and More. After that first year of kind of climbing all over each other, we were able to move next door and get things started. The first project, and this is before we even moved, the first project that we took on was making these purses. Now, I'm not a very good counter, but I can take an educated guess and tell you that probably in the 5 years that we've been over there, we've probably made about 2,000 of these purses. These get sent to Africa with a charity called So Powerful, S-E-W, So Powerful. And over there are ladies in the community in Zambia, in Nombe Compound, who sew and make products that girls can use. They're washable and disposable, and these are packed in the purses, and these are what teenage girls can use when they have the monthly cycle, and this helps them to be able to stay in school. I've been there, and if you can see what it's like over there and the poverty and the idea that they get to have something pretty and something to use to help them stay in school is really inspirational. And the first thing that people began to think about and working about was the purses. We eventually ended up with a sewing room. So now we have a whole room full of sewing machines and sergers and tables and all kinds of things. And we expanded into a lot of additional projects. Time doesn't allow me to mention everything that we do over there, but I can quickly tell you that we have sewing bees. Once a month, we host a sewing bee, and ladies come in, they work on the purses, they work on little things like what you can see right here in front of me. These are fidget blankets. We give these free at the Olive Branch to families who are caring for an Alzheimer's or a dementia patient, and they have little activities on them that people can use to help keep their hands busy. People who suffer from dementia and Alzheimer's often become stressed because their hands just don't have anything to do. So this enables them to kind of stay busy and cut down the stress, which is very helpful in their care. We also make hygiene kits with the same idea as the purses. Those get sent to Haiti. We have a crochet and knit group also that meets twice a month. And they make prayer shawls and lap blankets, which we give to a charity that works out of Sewickley called Blessed Bag. And they are used for cancer patients. There are care items, comfort items that they can use while they're taking their cancer treatments. We make birthing kits that have all kind of products. They're a little bit foreign looking to us with our high-tech hospitals, but they have objects in them that women can use if they give birth at home in countries like Haiti. We also serve several African countries, Zambia, Uganda, and one other one, I forget which one it is, Zimbabwe. The idea of the hygiene kits is so that mothers, even though they give birth at home, they can have a clean and a healthy birth for their baby. And our crocheters and knitters make hats to keep the babies warm, and our sewers make a receiving blanket to also help keep the baby warm after birth. We make school bags and little dresses for the students over in Zambia so that the kids can have nice products to go to school. We make baptismal cloths that we give to the chaplain at Children's Hospital, and she uses them when she baptizes babies at the hospital. And I could go on, but the idea behind all of it is to engage people from the community, both men and women, in doing good works. Sometimes there are people, especially if they don't have a church affiliation and perhaps don't belong to an outreach group, want to do good things, but they don't know where to do it. And that's where the olive branch comes in. And we do as much as we can in as many places we can. And as long as the outreach, the olive branch can hang in there at our little place on 11160 Perry Highway, we will do it as long as ever we can. I am open to ideas. If any of you are hearing me talk today and would like to come and visit, come in when I'm there, or come in and talk to anybody. They can tell you all about what we do, and they can give you a tour. If you're passionate about something and would like to maybe see if you could share it with us, I'm all ears. I'm always ready to hear what you have to suggest to us. I have to say that COVID-19 has put a little bit of a glitch in what we do there. Right now, we aren't having our sewing bees because we cannot do that safely in our location. Right now, our knitting and crochet group isn't meeting. Same reason. It's kind of sad because it's the camaraderie that goes along with working together on these projects, which is what's so special about the olive branch. We call it our happy place. And right now, we can't gather in our happy place. But as John Wesley said, do as much as you can in all the ways that you can, as often as you can. So a lot of our volunteers are still working, but they're working at home. And it's my responsibility to come up with the ideas and the materials and send them out. And we still have a lot of these good things that I talked about still happening. They're just happening at home and coming into the shop from the volunteers that do it. And one last thing about what we do is right now we are really into making masks. We have small masks. We have masks that look like this. We have masks for adults. You can come into the olive branch and you can get a mask for a donation. We just asked for a small donation toward our mission and outreach. And we even give them free to people who have a financial difficulty. And again, talking about numbers, we have sent thousands of these out to various Indian nations, mostly Navajo. And we have also sent a lot to a place called Redbird Mission, which is located in Kentucky in the poorest of the poor area in Appalachia, where people cannot afford to do this. This, again, helps kids stay in school, helps people stay safe, and that's part of what we do at the Olive Branch. Everything is about sustaining a good life, a healthy life, a productive life through mission and outreach. Come and visit us. I ask you to come and take a tour, come to our happy place and see what we do, and I think you'll like it once you've come, and you'll probably want to come back.
Our closing hymn is Our World is One World. It's number 134 in the Gray Hymn Book, and the words will be on the screen.
Our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. The seas that wash us round about, the clouds that cover us, the rains that fall. Our world is one world. The thoughts we think affect us all. The way we build our attitudes with love or hate we make. A
We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have done alone. The morning offering will be taken by your going to the UUCNH.org website, finding the link in the upper right-hand corner that says Donate, and making a contribution at least equivalent to what you would be putting in the plate. May we give today in love and in hope. Please join me in saying the dedication of the offering. The words will be on the screen. May these gifts and the work of our hands and hearts give power to all we stand for as a community of faith. Our closing words are from William E. Gardner. We all have two religions, the religion we talk about and the religion we live. It is our task to make the difference between the two as small as possible.